GQ behind with V. What really happened on the day Kim Taehyung became impossible to look away? What if one ordinary behind-the-scenes video wasn't ordinary at all? What if a single Instagram post held more meaning than it seemed? More beauty than the camera could fully capture, and more unanswered questions than fans were ready for? And what if the man at the center of it all, Kim Taehyung, known to the world as V of BTS, was quietly rewriting the definition of a fashion icon, an artist, and a living moment that refuses to fade? When GQ Korea dropped its seemingly simple Instagram caption, GQ behind with V, it didn't feel like an announcement. It felt like a whisper, a clue, an invitation, something unfinished, because this wasn't just a behind-the-scenes video. This was a moment. The February issue cover shoot featuring GQ Korea cover star V arrived with no loud countdown, no dramatic warning, and yet within minutes, the internet began to react as if something rare had just slipped into public view. Comments flooded in. Screenshots spread. Fans replayed the video again and again, searching not just for visuals, but for meaning. Why did he look different that day? Why did his presence feel quieter, yet stronger? And why did GQ end the caption with a sentence that felt more like a promise than promotion? The story with V will continue. Continue where? Continue how? Continue into what? Behind the camera, behind the lights, behind the carefully styled frames of a luxury magazine shoot, there was a version of V that felt both familiar and startlingly new. This was not the explosive stage performer commanding stadiums. This was not the playful variety show genius teasing fans with laughter. This was something subtler, something almost fragile in its beauty, something that sparkled without asking for attention. The behind-the-scenes video opens quietly, as if respecting the mood of the day. No forced smiles, no exaggerated poses. Just Kim Taehyung moving through the set with an ease that only comes from knowing exactly who you are, even when the world is watching. Stylists adjust fabric. Cameras click softly. A breeze lifts his hair just enough to feel accidental, just enough to feel real. And then there's his expression. Fans noticed it immediately. There was a softness in his eyes that day, paired with a gaze that held history. It was the look of someone who has lived many chapters, some loud, some painful, some unspeakably beautiful, and has learned how to carry them all in silence. The camera didn't chase him. It waited, as if even the lens understood that this version of V couldn't be rushed. GQ Korea's choice of words, sparkling and beautiful, felt almost understated once fans saw the footage. Sparkling didn't mean loud. It didn't mean flashy. It meant something internal, something that glows even when the room is still. Beautiful didn't mean perfect. It meant human. It meant layered. And suddenly, a question began circulating online, unspoken but shared by thousands. Was this the most honest version of V we've ever seen in a fashion shoot? Behind-the-scenes content is usually meant to demystify, to show the fun moments, the laughter, the candid chaos. But this video did the opposite. It deepened the mystery. It made fans lean closer instead of relaxing back. Every small movement felt intentional. Every pause felt meaningful. Why was he so quiet that day? Or was it that he wasn't quiet at all, just finally comfortable with silence? Those who have followed Kim Taehyung's journey know that his relationship with fashion has never been superficial. From his early days experimenting with textures and colors that defied idol norms, to his evolution into a global luxury muse, V has always treated clothing as language. In the GQ February shoot, that language felt mature, restrained, and confident enough to say less. The outfits didn't wear him. He carried them. And in the behind-the-scenes footage, you could see moments where he seemed lost in thought, as if each frame wasn't just a pose, but a conversation between who he was and who he has become. GQ's Instagram caption encouraged viewers to leave a like and a pretty comment, but fans found themselves doing much more than that. They wrote paragraphs. They confessed emotions. They spoke about how watching him felt like looking at art that understands you before you understand it yourself. Some asked if he looked lonely. Others said he looked peaceful. Some said both at once. And then there was that line again, the one that refused to let the moment end. The story with V will continue. It was a sentence that echoed. Was GQ hinting at more behind-the-scenes footage? Another concept? Another chapter of collaboration? Or was it something deeper? An acknowledgement that Kim Taehyung is no longer just appearing in magazines, but shaping narratives that extend beyond a single issue. Fashion editors know when they're witnessing something fleeting versus something historic. And this shoot carried the weight of the latter. Not because of extravagance, but because of restraint. Not because of shock, but because of sincerity did I end an industry that often demands idols to perform even when the cameras are off. V did something radical that day. He simply existed, and somehow, that was enough to stop the world for a moment. As the behind-the-scenes video continues, there are glimpses of him smiling softly at staff, nodding in quiet understanding, adjusting his posture not out of insecurity, but precision. It's the behavior of someone who respects the craft, respects the people around him, and respects the moment he's in. This wasn't a man trying to prove anything. This was a man who already knows. Fans began to notice how different this felt from past shoots. There was no sense of urgency, no hunger for validation, just presence. And that presence carried emotion heavier than any dramatic concept ever could. Perhaps that's why the video lingered, why people replayed it late at night, why comments spoke of comfort, nostalgia, and admiration rather than hype alone. And perhaps that's why GQ didn't rush the ending, because some stories aren't meant to conclude quickly. They unfold, slowly, quietly, and beautifully. The silence in the studio that day felt intentional, almost ceremonial, as if everyone present understood they were witnessing something that could not be repeated in the same way twice. Even the smallest gestures, V lightly adjusting his sleeve, the brief moment he closed his eyes between shots, the calm breath he took before facing the camera again, felt loaded with meaning. These were not the movements of someone acting for the lens, but of someone allowing the lens to observe him as he was. As the behind-the-scenes video circulated, fans began to connect invisible dots. Some noticed how his styling echoed classic cinema icons, while others felt the mood reflected a turning point in his artistic journey. There was a maturity in the atmosphere that suggested transition, as if this February issue marked not an ending, but a doorway. A quiet signal that Kim Taehyung was stepping into a new season of self-expression, one less concerned with spectacle and more focused on essence. And still, that promise remained unresolved. The story with V will continue. It lingered like the final note of a song that refuses to fade, leaving listeners suspended between what they have just felt and what they sense is coming next. In that space of anticipation, one truth became clear. This was never just about a magazine cover. It was about a moment captured, a presence felt, and a story still unfolding. The more the video was replayed, the clearer it became that this behind-the-scenes moment was carefully, almost respectfully, framed by GQ Korea. There was no attempt to over-explain or dramatize what was happening on set. Instead, the camera lingered, allowing the atmosphere to speak for itself. This choice alone sparked curiosity. Why let the silence breathe? Why allow viewers to sit with the mood rather than distract them with fast cuts and loud music? The answer, many believe, lies in the subject himself. Kim Taehyung does not require excess to leave an impact. His presence fills space naturally, and GQ seemed to understand that restraint would only amplify his aura. As the February issue approached release, discussions around V's cover shoot grew more introspective. Fans and fashion observers alike began to describe the shoot not in terms of trends or luxury labels, but in emotions. Words like timeless, melancholic, and tender surfaced repeatedly. Some even suggested that the shoot felt like a visual diary entry, as though each frame was quietly documenting an inner state rather than selling an image. This interpretation added another layer of intrigue to the phrase "the story with V will continue," transforming it from a promotional tease into a narrative promise.